Well, hello and welcome to Saturday, qualifying day. Gotcha, jokes. It's Friday still, but it is qualifying in MotoE. Welcome to the FIM NL MotoE World Cup in 2022. My name, as ever, with MotoE. Leading the way in the commentary box is Matt Dunn. Alongside me, as ever, my dear co-commentator, Neil Morrison, bringing you the coverage for this year's World Cup. We do have Fran Wild down in pit lane, who is weaving in and out of the MotoE motorcycles, getting ready to head out for their first qualifying session of the year. And for the first time in the now 4-year history of the class, I am saying qualifying and not making a mistake, because it's no longer e-pole. I don't think. It's still qualifying. We have 2 sessions coming your way, ladies and gentlemen. We have Q1 and Q2, and here are the riders that will be going through it. Combined free practice, which took place earlier today. They were the first session out and the lunchtime session as well. The top 8 riders from this classification are going straight through to Q2. Everybody else thereafter, from Alex Escrig and downwards, will be going through the first Q1 session up next. 2 spots left available for competing in Q2, which will be the top 10 positions on the grid, if I'm not very mistaken. So it was Eric Granado that led the way in free practice. I must admit, ladies and gentlemen, they've really only had properly one real session of it here this morning because of yesterday, around 4 p.m, 5 p.m. local time. 24 hours ago, we had such a torrential rain shower and thunderstorm. Really meant the conditions this morning when MotoE went out were pretty useless. But the good news is for them, they have had 2 previous tests here, the last of which was 2 weeks ago. So they are more than ready with enough of an idea of how these changed motorcycles feel beneath them, the Energica Ego courses. And they're ready to do battle here in the first qualifying session of the year. How are the motorcycles different, I hear you say? Well, a revised engine, 15 kilograms less, which is a significant amount of weight reduction by Energica, has changed the centre of gravity, which, well, you change one sort of centre of gravity, that changes completely the feeling of the motorcycle and how you, well, essentially need to ride it. They're on a mission to work it out, are all the MotoE riders here in Jerez. The other news is, why are we having today's qualifying at the end of Friday? Well, it's because we are having a 2 race per round series this year. 14 races over 7 rounds, and I cannot wait to get going. Neil Morrison, a very warm welcome back to the box. How excited are you for MotoE in 2022?
Yeah, very excited, Matt. We have an expanded, bigger, better MotoE World Cup than ever in 2022. As Matt said, 14 races, almost double what we've had in previous campaigns, held across 7 rounds, and each round will have a double header, so a race on Saturday and then a race again on Sunday. So lots to look forward to, and of course, if you missed out on the climax of the 2021 MotoE World Cup, well, where have you been? Where were you at the time? That is a sign of more things to come. Unprecedented excitement in this series, I feel, at the end of last year.
Oh, absolutely brilliant stuff, wasn't it? Yeah, I was watching back the race to get in the groove, understanding MotoE, reminding myself of the races that we've had in years past, and wow, I got absolute goosebumps watching those final laps once again, with Dominic Aegerter versus Jordi Torres battling it out for the World Cup title at the end of last year in Misano. Jordi Torres crying from the disappointment and the pain of being wiped out by Dominic Aegerter, and then those turned to tears of joy as he was announced as the World Cup winner, with Domi giving what was effectively a post-race ride through, which left him 38 seconds adrift of the win, and Jordi the World Cup winner. Wow. Only the sorts of excitement that you can get here in MotoE. The race will still be around 7 or 8 laps or so, depending on where we go, a little bit longer at other places. A couple of new venues on the series this year as well, including Mugello and Finland added to the calendar. Cannot wait to see them. I was going to say roaring round there, but figuratively speaking, of course. Absolutely cracking sounds that we do actually get from them. We are getting a look at some of the riders, new and old, from the series for 2022. Go ahead, Neil.
Yep, and Matt and I obviously up in the commentary box for this session, but Fran Wild down in pit lane, as we mentioned before, and she's managed to grab hold of the original, inaugural MotoE World Cup winner, Matteo Ferrari. Take it away, Fran.
Well, good afternoon from a sunny pit lane indeed. We're about to see a little bit of history with this Q1. And Matteo, how are you feeling? You've been fast this season so far. Are you excited to see how this all works?
Yeah, I'm really happy about this morning. I was really fast in the FP2. We work a lot during the test, and I think we did another step this morning. Now we have to see this new format. It will be really important, like always, to be in the first row. So I'll try my maximum to be on the front.
Well, you're already through, but are you going to be keeping a close eye on what happens, especially in the changeover before Q2?
Yeah, I'm ready to watch the Q1 and Forza Finello, my teammate. I'm watching him.
Well, thanks for the brief chat, and maybe speak to you again in Parc Fermé. We'll see you. Good luck.
Thank you. Ciao.
Yeah, thanks a lot for that, Fran and Matteo Ferrari. Apologies, Fran, I didn't actually hear you on the lazy line and getting in touch there, but I've increased my volume now, so I can actually hear you. So feel free to butt in at any time. Riders out on circuit for the first ever MotoE Q1 session in this new official qualifying format. Neil, give us a run-through of why they've made this change.
Well, I think there were a couple of reasons at play here, Matt. I think E-Pole was obviously original and quite unique. I think it was originally introduced to make sure that every rider and every team had their fair share of airtime to make it attractive for sponsors to get involved. But now, with 2 races every weekend, they kind of feel, well, they'll already be getting that. So there's no need to have an extra session televised. Well,
I think as well, if I may add something here, I think it's also the step forward in the charging technology as well allows a little bit of a quicker turnaround with this new format. So it takes 8 minutes to add some additional laps for those bikes to be able to move through from Q1 to Q2. I think that's part of it as well, because now they know they can fight on equal terms when they go through to Q2, despite having done a couple more laps in the Q1 session.
Yeah, absolutely, Fran. That was my second point that I was about to make, but you've already done it for me, so...
Apologies.
No.
I will let you go now. Feel free.
No, absolutely. No, feel free to butt in whenever you can. And then also, I think, a few riders felt that it was quite a difficult situation going into E-Pole, because I don't think they would have had any previous running time on qualifying day for most MotoE rounds. And then to go in to an E-Pole lap where you have to basically push to the absolute limit on your first flying lap, that was proving quite difficult as well. So I think this is maybe a more fair exciting format that we can have for qualifying here in MotoE.
Hey, we all love seeing riders laying it all out there on the track, don't we? But I think the riders definitely thanking the organisers for a chance just to build themselves in to qualifying and putting out as quick a lap time as they possibly can. We're taking a look now, take one of the returning riders, Nicolo Canepa, on the With You GRT RNF MotoE squad. How many acronyms do you need in one name? Good to see him returning to the class after a year out last season, along with many sort of riders who tend to partake in as well in the Endurance World Series too. He's got an unexpected teammate this weekend in the form of Lukas Tulovic, number 3 on your screens there, Neil.
Yeah, absolutely. Keen MotoE watchers will know the name of Lukas Tulovic, of course. A rider that has won a race in this World Cup as recently as last year. Bradley Smith, unfortunately, still recovering from his horrible and very unfortunate crash sustained at the Le Mans 24-hour race just a couple of weeks ago. Bradley hopefully will be back for the next round of the MotoE World Cup. But, well, I think Fran has managed to grab hold of another rider that's going to be taking part in Q2 in just about 20 minutes' time. She's with Dominic Egerter. So, Fran, take it away.
I am indeed with Dominic Egerter. He's now trying to leave me, but no, I've got him back. It's a little bit unique, this session now, being able to annoy you a little bit before Q2. But you are straight through. This is the debut of this format. How are you feeling now, and are you glad to have a few laps chance at getting a grid position this time round rather than the E-Pole stress with everything on the line?
Yeah, I think everything is a little bit more calm, but in the end 10 minutes is not a lot, so you can make maximum 4 or 5 laps. So for sure, for me it's a little bit better, and yeah, we are already in the top 10, so we can concentrate for make a fast lap and to try to catch a very good starting position for the 2 races tomorrow and after tomorrow.
Perfect. Well, I'll let you go now over to the other side of pit wall. Thank you.
Check the lap times, what they do.
Well, good to see Dominic Aegerter putting in the hard yards with work on and off the bike to be prepared as he can be when he goes out on track very, very shortly. 5 minutes to go then in the session, and after the first sets of provisional laps, it's Nicolo Canepa topping the times, due to go through to Q2 thereafter. We got a Scrig just behind him, reigning European Stock 600 champion. For those of you who are fans of all the Grand Prix classes, you might remember Fermin Aldeguer, who was of course in this class last year on that very motorcycle you're looking at the moment, now being handled by Mark Alcoba. The number 54, who's in the Moto2 World Championship now, was previously in the European Moto2 Series. Well, before that, he was previously a Stock 600 European Moto2 champion. That race is a race inside a race in European Moto2. Have you got all that? I hope so. So that's where Scrig is coming from.
Yeah, another fast young Spaniard looking to make his way into the World Championship. Obviously, he's already done so in the World Cup this year. This is Mark Alcoba. You may know him from his time in the World Supersport Championship. He had a couple of top 10 finishes.
Oh, someone's gone down to the background there, Neil. I heard a couple of scuffs. I thought it was his rear tyre spinning up a little bit, but someone has gone down in the background at the final corner. So that will be their qualifying session probably over at this stage. Oh, it's a number 28. It's Ruiz who's replacing Xavi Cardalus, unfortunately. So that's not ideal for Yere there. The number 28 called up at the last moment due to Cardalus's injury. But glad to see him up and okay.
Yeah, just a simple crash. We just caught the aftermath of that down at turn 13. Unfortunate fall for him. And Ruiz, well, he was 6th in this session before that crash. As we look at Nicolo Canepa, currently the fastest rider in this session by 0.2 of a second. Maria Herrera in 3rd, she's 0.2 back as well. It's been a good session for Maria, who continues with the Open Bank Aspar team in this class for yet another season.
Yeah, good to see Maria back at it again in the MotoE World Cup. She has said previously she's sort of struggled physically with the bike, and also, well, more recently actually she was struggling with just adapting to the tyres. So what can she do this year with the slightly sort of revised engine, 15 kilos less, etc. Also the new tyres as well. Constant innovation in MotoE, even with Energica stepping down and making way for Ducati no less from next year onwards.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's look at the number 21, Kevin Zanoni. He moves across from the LCR team to the 658 Squadra Corsa squad for this year. The previous man in that seat, Mattia Casadei, he has also changed team. He'll be in Q2 in a little while's time. Kevin Zanoni coming across the line. He climbs up from 10th.
If I could just add a little thing on Casadei there, kind of related. It was interesting what Jordi Torres said in the pre-event press conference about Casadei. Really wanted to make sure everyone knew, like, I think I have a teammate that can really push me now. So that could be an interesting one, like you say. Now he's moved from the CH58 team. So yeah, I think Casadei will be one to keep an eye on, and certainly Torres will be doing that.
Yeah, obviously with Jasper Iverma being Torres' teammate last year. Jasper having his, first go around in MotoE, was it? Or of all the years blurred into one, he's actually done 2 seasons. I can't quite remember exactly, but Iverma finished the season up in 17th position, only 13 points to his name in the end. Wasn't exactly pushing Torres all the way. So absolutely right, with Casadei jumping ship, you could say. What can he do this year with a change of scenery? You obviously saw there on your screens Torres and Casadei watching on together in their leathers, ready for Q2 coming up shortly. Torres with some very, very finely tuned pork chops and sideburns, ready for starting the fight for his 3rd MotoE crown.
Yeah, all systems normal there then, as Kevin Zanoni comes into the stadium section of this Jerez circuit. Angel Nieto, he's still just 1/10 off through the 3rd split. This could be enough, possibly, to trouble Alex Escrig in 2nd place. Let's see what Zanoni can do. Escrig is also on a quick lap time as well in this session. Remember, it's the top 2 in Q1 that will go through to Q2, much like we have in the other Grand Prix categories. Zanoni just getting it a bit out of shape into turn 13 there. Winds it up, coming across the line.
And with the backing tune of, I think, Highway to Hell by AC/DC, here we go with Zanoni moving up to top 2 in this session here, ready to hopefully, for his sake, move up into Q2 later on. But Skrig has just taken it back as he's come across the line there then. Tulovic, you've got to hand it to him. I mean, he took pole position here last year, but he won't be doing that as such this year, I don't think, with this being his only 3rd session on the bike full stop. He's not actually due to be in the class full time. He's staying in the European Moto2 class for this year with the Intact GP squad. They, of course, switched to Triumph engines there as well, the first year of that in the European Moto2 series. I think he's looking for a way back into the World Championship in that route for now. But he can still do a very good performance, filling in for Bradley Smith, who is out injured this weekend due to that crash he had in Le Mans. Go ahead, Fran.
Sorry, I think I'm adding to the AC/DC as well, owning the line.
You are,
yeah, Nicola Canepa obviously feeling quite confident because he stopped at the recharging area near Parc Fermé. So I think he thinks he's got it wrapped up. Let's see. I just saw a lap cancelled for Tulovic a minute ago. So, yeah, I guess we're on the final way round now.
Yeah, when are you not adding AC/DC into the mix, Fran? That's what I want to know.
Yeah.
Such truth.
Yeah, so true. If there's one person who's going to be doing that, it's definitely Fran. Quite a good backing tune, really, to MotoE. One of the benefits, I guess, of the reduced noise. We're going to hear all sorts of other sounds which the bikes make, shredding of the rubber, the chains going round, the knee sliders there on the ground as he sends it through turns 11 and 12, does Zanoni. He's just off at the moment off the top fastest time, but if he comes around and maintains this sort of gap, he could be in the top 2 going through to Q2. So the Italian, out he comes off the final corner, across the line then for Zanoni. Where does he place? He stays 4th, so a bit of an anticlimax, but there we go. He'll be staying in in that sort of position for tomorrow's grid. Just realised you and me have not actually done a Q1, Q2 session before, have we? So
first time for everything, Matt, yeah. And
no wonder I'm getting confused.
Zanoni just a little untidy into turn 13 with the rear end sliding. You wonder whether that just cost him one off the 10th that he did lose in that sector, but it looks as though Nicolo Canepa's confidence and parking up early has been well founded, because he has gone into Q2 as well as Alex Skrig. So impressive stuff from Skrig, who's obviously making his debut in the class this weekend, one of 5 rookies in the series for this year.
Worth noting, Neil, we obviously praise Moto2 for it being incredibly close, very, very consistently, but the top 12 in MotoE all covered by a single second in the end of free practice 2. Only 2 148s though, that's from Granado and Garzo, old sparring partners. So Canepa in FP2, he said a 149.8, he said a 149.1 here in Q1. So that's him going through to Q2 along with Alex Skrig, number 17. They'll be doing battle for pole position very shortly.
Yeah, and just a word on the man who was 10th in that session, Chefi Forres, obviously another one of the rookies making his debut in the MotoE World Cup this year. Forres obviously lacking experience with these bikes, but I do think that he was kind of being tipped as a guy that could be fighting for podiums this year. Obviously a guy that has a whole wealth of experience at World Superbike level, no less, but not quite up to speed in this session. But Nicolo Canepa was the man fastest of all in Q1.
Alex Skrig was 2nd place from Lucas Tulovic and Kevin Zanoni in P4. Then Maria Herrera was 5th in this Q1 session, ahead of Kevin Manfredi, Mark Alcoba, Jere Ruiz, who had that crash at the final corner. Alessio Finello, new teammate for Matteo Ferrari this year, 9th, ahead of Xavi Forres in 10th. Those riders will be lining up down towards 18th position on the grid here in tomorrow's race. Of course, this is the last session these guys have before they go racing tomorrow. So up next then, we do have, of course, qualifying 2. Stay tuned, don't go anywhere. Welcome back then. Let's get it going. The first Q2 session in the MotoE World Cup for 2022. Nicolo Canepa's 149.119 would have actually placed him in the top 5 in free practice 2 a little earlier on today. Well, can he translate that? Will it be an even more of an advantage, perhaps, actually, having come through Q1, getting into Q2 here on? Well, the veteran Italian in all manners of motorcycle racing will certainly be hoping to get a pole position here. But at the end of free practice, it was Eric Granado, Hector Garzo, and your former champion, World Cup winner, Matteo Ferrari, in top 3. Your reigning World Cup winner, Jordi Torres, was P5. And actually, the rider that took him all the way was the last rider to get directly through to Q2 in the free practice sessions. That was Dominic Egerton in P8. Neil, the top 8 actually had all returning riders for this 2022 season. Way too early to give any sort of suggestions, but well, we'll start here with Jordi Torres, just discussing him a little bit. Back at it again, attempting title number 3, and why not? He's just loving life as a MotoE rider, isn't he?
He is, absolutely. Yeah, the undisputed king of MotoE at the moment is Jordi Torres, and just doing a bit of a Philip Oetel right there, visualising his lines and his markers around this Jerez track, a track, of course, that he knows intimately well. Torres has been fairly fast so far this weekend. He was Mr. Consistency, wasn't he? Right the way through his title years in 2020, 2021. But he will be facing increased competition this year with this man, I feel, among several guys that can certainly contend with him.
Well, if I was listening to the music trackside, I'd say welcome back to the jungle, Hector Garzo, as Guns N' Roses rings out. Fran's going to be absolutely loving this down in pit lane, isn't she?
Honestly, I've had worse afternoons.
I mean, yeah,
it's going great.
It's funny because whilst we were walking to the commentary box, they were playing some absolutely terrible Spanish music. I'm really sorry, but I'm really not a fan of that rigodon genre. Terrible. So more of this, please, Jerez. This is what you're famous for, didn't they used to play Wish You Were Here at the start of every Grand Prix at like 5 AM? Bring me more of that. Thank you. Eric Clapton they changed it to, and then it's been great ever since. Anyways, Hector Garzo back at it. What can he do this year, Neil? He's got a bit of a point to prove, because I suppose after his Moto2 season last year, there might be a couple of people who he might call them doubters.
Yeah, there could be, yeah. Garzo obviously had a tough season in Moto2 last year with Sito Pon's squad after all that optimism in his rookie year back in 2020, which of course included a podium at Valencia. He told Fran in the pre-event press conference yesterday that he still has a bit of a pain in his heart after losing out on the 2019 MotoE World Crown. He was fighting for that right up until the final race of that particular season, so he does have a score to settle here.
You could say the same about Mattia Casadei, I would say, to be honest. A rider who probably could do with a hairband, Neil, but isn't actually wearing one, if you were with us in our discussions in Moto2 FP2. Yes, that is our first real view of Mattia Casadei donning his helmet in his brand new team livery. Mikel Pons, though, he stays put, does the one-time MotoE winner. He finished up free practice in 6th position, start of his 2nd year in both MotoE and with the team. He set a 149.2 earlier on today. He actually finished up the overall World Cup classification in P7 with that singular victory, and he finished out the year with a podium in the end as well.
Yeah, he did, and he was stunning in that race victory that he won in Catalonia, of course. Managed to pull clear just enough of the rest to make sure that no one was in striking distance on that final lap. But Mikel Pons, yeah, he's a guy that I fully expect to kick on and maybe even fight for the crown this year.
Well, then let's pass back down to pit lane, shall we, before the bikes head on track then. So, Fran, I think it's with Lucio Cecchinello. Take it away, Fran.
I am indeed with Lucio Cecchinello. So, Lucio, this year in MotoE, you've got Mikel, who already won a race last year and was impressive as a rookie, and now you've got Eric, usually the fastest man in MotoE, but with some consistency, sometimes stopping him just taking the crown. But are you excited about the season ahead? You have a really strong lineup of riders.
Yeah, we are really excited. It's an honor to work with such competitive riders. As you said, it's very important this year, especially Eric, that he will try to keep the performance, you know, constant. So also the championship is, you know, with 14 races will be much more important, you know, to finish every races as possible. And yeah, we are very excited.
Well, so are we, with, like you said, 14 races to go, and thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Yeah, quite a few MotoE victories between both his riders for this year. With Eric Granado out there, he's got 5 wins to his name and just a singular second place. Eric Granado got a heck of a podium record then, hasn't he? Imagine being on the podium 6 times and only one of them is actually not a victory. So Eric Granado, I guess that's the biggest question about him coming into this year, Neil. Can he finally convert that speed and race wins into consistency and a World Cup bid?
Yeah, he's been there right from the start, hasn't he, Granado, as one of the fastest names in this category. As we see this cool live graphic of the surface temperature on the rear tyre of Domi Egerter's machine. Of course, last year will be remembered for the vintage battle between Egerter and Jordi Torres that went right the way to the last lap of the final race. But going into that final round, Matt, of course, it was a 4-way fight. Alessandro Zacconi has since stepped up to Moto2. He was one of the names, but Eric Granado was another. And had he not crashed out at the final turn of the penultimate race at Misano, you know, Granado had every chance of going into that final race and fighting the likes of Egerter and Torres for the overall crown.
Yeah, it was absolutely sensational, wasn't it, that weekend in Misano? I absolutely loved it. You could feel the tension in the air, and yeah, fair play to Jordi Torres coming out on top in the end. Egerter, nearly a MotoE World Cup winner and World Supersport champion in the same year. But let's pass back down to pit lane then. Fran, who have you got for us?
I have reigning MotoGP world champion Fabio Quartararo. Very briefly, Fabio, you checking out MotoE? What do you think?
Yeah, it's nice. I just see that they have a new system. I was thinking was Super Bowl, and it's like us. So let's see who is doing the pole. But it's quite funny to see how fast these bikes can go, and at the end they're electric. So really nice, and looking forward to see who is gonna take the pole.
Thanks very much.
You're welcome.
Right, thank you, Fran. And Fabio Quartararo then, pretty cool to hear from the world champ, getting a look in at MotoE then in this first Q2 session. So let's have a look at what's going on track. I got a bit confused then by the sound effect. I thought, what's going on with this machine? No, just we were listening to somebody else on board then. But yes, Neil, I mean, in terms of contenders as well, we are missing one at the moment. Nicolo Canepa's teammate Bradley Smith, of course, out due to that start line crash he had at Le Mans. Real shame that to see him out of this first race. He's not so injured that he wasn't able to try and travel here in an attempt to ride, but he wasn't past fit in the end.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I think it was as he cracked a vertebrae in his back, and obviously with that kind of thing, that kind of injury, you do not want to mess around at all. So Bradley not past fit, unfortunately, and yeah, we will hopefully see him back at the next round that we have in the MotoE World Cup, of course.
The good aspect of having a now 14 race series is that it's not so much of a disaster if you have an error in one, crash out of one, or even you miss one from the very start. So that's good news for Bradley Smith. Quite a few of the riders were asked in that press conference yesterday, does this change your approach to MotoE now? Because we've seen in the past, Neil, that quite a few riders have, well, they've won the series by getting perhaps a singular win, one other podium, and sort of just being solid top 5, top 4. That's how Matteo Ferrari kind of did it in the first season. Not those results exactly, but it's changed now, hasn't it, really?
A little bit, yeah. Jordi Torres, I guess you could say the same. Won his 2 titles in MotoE, courtesy of similar tactics, making sure that he just got points, good points on the board in every outing as the first laps come in. And Mikel Pons is the fastest off the lot so far from Hector Garzo and Mattia Casadei, who we were just looking at. Formation flying with his new teammate Jordi Torres. Casadei a demon on the brakes into turn 6. We've seen that plenty of times in years gone by in this category.
Right, with fast lap times coming in then, let's concentrate on this proper track action. Riders are all bedded in, and this is it, the fight for pole position. 5 minutes left to go. Mikel Pons has actually set the fastest time of the day so far, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, by half a second, no less. So 1:48.3, the benchmark lap time from Pons, teammate to Eric Granado, who topped the free practice sessions, yet to actually set a flying lap time. But here he is then, coming through the final sector for the first time for a flying lap in this Q2 session. Building it up is Eric Granado, running down now towards the final corner. He's, well, 0.4 of a second off as he enters turn 13. Out the final corner he comes in. Where will he place in this one? If he's within 0.4, he could well be top 4 with that first flying lap benchmark. Over the line he comes in, and he goes to 4th exactly. But this next lap, unfortunately for him, will not count because as he goes through sector 2, there is a yellow flag out because we've got a rider down. It's his teammate. It's Pons who's down, unfortunately. So Pons has gone down. Is that turn 5, maybe? Turn 6, not sure. Main thing is he's up and okay.
And of course, this is going to be one of the things that we see in the other Grand Prix categories in the Q1, Q2 sessions. Yellow flags maybe being a cause. As Pons, is he going to lose the front here? This is a fast old part of the track at turn 8.
It's turn 8, was it? Oh, blimey, yeah, and quite wide, and down he goes, and the bike says, no, can't grip any more than that. Sorry, I thought it was turn 5, a different part of the track then. So these next sets of flying laps will not count then. So well, depends on how quickly they can get the bike out of the gravel. Mikel Pons could have crashed himself into pole position potentially if it was a little bit later on, but let's see.
Yeah, Torres keeping up with the number 27 of Casadei in this run. Torres currently 6th. He does need to certainly improve his time, although he is about to find those yellow flags in sector 2. Might take a bit of time to get Mikel Pons' bike out of the gravel trap, of course. Eric Granado looking super fast and super competitive on this lap time. He's just 600s off through sector number 3, but I don't think this lap is going to count, Matt, because he did take that yellow flag in sector 2. Yeah,
unfortunately so. So we'll keep an eye on when that yellow flag graphic comes off our screens, because all the laps thereafter will start to count. That's the main thing. But riders still are going to be finding, well, as much pace as they can, and still pushing those limits and finding it further and further. The lap times at the moment, the all-time lap record does belong to Eric Granado from 2021. He said a 1:47.4. That with a 1:48.3 unfortunately will not stand due to the yellow flag. But there we have it. Yellow flags are put away, so this next lap time from Granado will count, and thereafter, so long as he doesn't pass through any more other yellow flags. Riders now calming down before they really step it up another level for their next set of flying laps. But the riders still, it's worth noting now, I mean, why are they off the all-time lap record at the moment? I mean, with the 15 kilos off, the centre of gravity change, we were talking to Nicola Guber, technical expert, and technical director of MotoE, and it's just a case of riders figuring it out. It's all the same situation for everybody. It is a different way to ride the machine now.
Exactly, yeah, and setup has obviously changed quite a bit, and these guys just haven't really had that much pre-season testing. We did have 2 tests during the pre-season, but both of them were heavily affected by the weather, so these guys simply haven't had enough track time to dial this in. You can see there, Eric Granado's lap time, as we thought was going to be the case, was cancelled because of that yellow flag that he got in in sector 2. But Granado will have another bite at the cherry. Just looking through and looking at his lap times at the moment, he's 2/10 off through sector 2 so far.
Well then, on board, well, we were on board with Dominic Aegerter, but we're back to the number 51, the Brazilian, not the only Brazilian in the paddock these days as well, but Diogo Moreira doing the business in Moto3. Those two know each other rather well, but Granado, we focus on his lap time now, coming through this final sector. This is where a MotoE bike really comes into its own, doesn't it? Those fast and flowing corners, breaking in towards the final turn, sideways stuff from Granado. He's all action as ever, 4th year in a row he's here. In for Eric Granado. Will he finally get that title? Across the line comes the Brazilian. Faster, faster, necessary faster, says his crew. And he sets a personal best, but remains in P4.
Yeah, Granado couldn't quite summon the magic of the previous lap to put himself on pole that time around, but he might have another crack at the cherry here. What can Domi Aegerter do? Because 7th place is far from ideal for the number 77, the rider that, of course, will have designs on the championship this year. As he comes round turns 9 and turns 10. Fantastic style as always. does Domi have, and of course he's had some really impressive recent exploits in the World Supersport Championship, a category of course that he won last year.
Yeah, he's looking this year to become the first ever World Cup winner and world champion all in one go, with the MotoE World Cup victory and World Supersport Championship for a second time to his name. Will he be able to do it? This will go a long way to trying to take him on that path, as he was brilliant out of the final turn there. Where does he come across the line? He goes 5th for now then. He'll get one more flying lap then, Will Egerter. So this is it then, the roll for MotoE E-Pole continues here in Jerez. And what about Canepa? He's already got a few more laps experience having come through Q1. Same goes for Escric, who's down in 10th place at the moment. What can Canepa do? Will he improve significantly as he comes out of the final corner?
I don't think he will, Matt, because Okubo, who's currently in it, he's 6/10 of a second off Mikel Pons' current pole time. So Canepa comes across the line, he does improve in time, but not in place, unfortunately. So it will be the back of the third row for the returning Italian.
Well, the good news for him is, even if you start from the very back of the grid, you can come through and make your way towards the front, as Matteo Ferrari did here last year when he exceeded track limits. But Jordi Torres, what is he doing at the moment then in the third or so sector? Complete grey sectors for him on our timing screens, but for you lot at home, it says personal best, so maybe he's on one.
Yeah, he is on one, just 2/10 off. It's not too far away. The same could be said for Domi Egerter. Both of these guys are just about in range and possibly could improve in position as it comes up. Torres winds it up as he comes through these fast rights. Two-time World Cup winner, of course, and looking to get a place possibly on the second row with this lap, maybe even sneaking onto the front. He comes in, just one corner left to negotiate.
Well, through the final corner he comes then. Will Torres move any further up the grid to start his defence and attack for a third World Cup win? The checker flag is out then. Torres crosses the line. Where does he place from 7th to 7th? A personal best lap time for the Spaniard. Well then, it will be, in fact, ladies and gentlemen, Mikel Pons from the gravel to pole position after that benchmark lap time, a 1:48.3, the quickest one that we've had so far here today. So on only his first proper flying lap. Sensational stuff from him.
Yeah, really impressive stuff from Mikel Pons. Thankfully, it looked as though he was relatively unharmed after that quick get-off down at turn 8. That's a fast old place to crash. But it didn't affect him overall, and he does manage to get pole position for the first races of this year. There he is back in pit lane with his LCR crew. And we barely mentioned them all session, Matt, but a big shout out to Hector Garzo, who's come straight back into this class and been fast from the start.
Yep, second place for Garzo on the grid then from Casadei. They complete your front row. Granado, that final lap really wasn't able to improve anything at all, as Garzo looks as though he's going to do a practice start then. And, well, that was nice and cleanly away. Ferrari, 6th place as well, just ahead of Torres too. He's really found his mojo this year. He found it towards the end of last year. He took the final win of the season, did Ferrari. But he really struggled to adapt to the new tyres last year, didn't he? But he looks much more comfortable this year. Had a great winter as well. Said he spent a couple of weeks down in the Maldives with Michele Pirro after Pirro got married. I said, you were on his honeymoon with him? He said, no, just us and a load of mates. So kind of like alternative honeymoon for him and his wife. And Ferrari was there. Had a great time. Dubai and then the Maldives. Nice for some, isn't it? But there is Mikel Pons. Full gas, full throttle, he says, as he makes his way to Parc Fermé. If you come to speak to Fan, of course. Or not. Well, let's get a look at the results then. Mikel Pons takes pole position for tomorrow's first race of the season ahead of Hector Garzo. Mattia Casadei also on the front row, and heading to second row we'll have Eric Granado from Domi Egerter and Matteo Ferrari. That is a quick second row. Jordi Torres, Okubo and Escrig are the third row, with Nicolo Canepa heading the fourth then in MotoE. Sensational stuff for them, and that was a quality start to the new qualifying format here in MotoE for its 4th year of running now. Riders just coming back into Parc Fermé. You can see them there with Casadei and Garzo having come around. Pons with some scuffed leathers making his way around too. Oh, we'll be hearing from them as well in Parc Fermé. which is good news. We're just getting the results now. So that's all very well. But yes, what a start it'll be then for MotoE. 2 races here this weekend, 1 tomorrow and 1 Sunday, both at the end of the day, of course. An absolutely packed schedule with all 3 Grand Prix classes, MotoE and also the Red Bull MotoGP Rookies Cup here as well. You can see all the riders with their teams there saying hello, congratulations, and there is the P1 with Mikel Pons, Neil.
Yeah, great performance from the Spaniard. And, well, rather pleased that I said he should be in the running for the World Cup honours this year. That performance didn't dissuade us any at all. We have seen some dramatic races in years gone by, didn't we? I seem to remember Eric Granado clearing off from pole in one of the races that we've had here. I think that was in 2020. But Hector Garzo, I don't think he'll be letting Pons get away with it at the start of tomorrow's race.
No wins for Garzo yet in MotoE either, I noticed whilst doing my research. We're so used to seeing him, we're used to seeing him fight for the title. I had forgotten he actually did not have a MotoE victory in his one and only season back in 2019.
Yeah, which is a surprise, isn't it? Considering, his competitiveness.
3 podiums though, 2 second places, 1 third. Having said that, he came second here as well in the race simulation that they had here a couple of weeks back. Well then, Mattia Casadei, a new team for him, but it's almost same old because he's down in Parc Ferme. He's on the front row of the grid for tomorrow's race with that brand new squad. He's down in Parc Ferme with Fran.
He is indeed. Congratulations, Mattia. New year, new team, and straight on the front row. You must be happy with that. How are you feeling for the races?
Yeah, I'm very happy. It's incredible first race, first row in the first qualifying. I'm super happy and focused to do a good race because we work very well in the test. We found a good way to be fast in the first lap and very good, very good. I'm very happy.
Well, very good. Congratulations.
Well, thank you, Fran and Mattia Casadei then. Good to see him on the front row to start that new part of his career. The number 27 now on the Pons Racing squad machine. He'll be standing ahead of his, well, to be fair, Neil, Jordi Torres did say he expected to be pushed a bit further now with Mattia Casadei on the team's roster. So, well, start as you mean to go on, Mattia. Close friends, of course, with the likes of Enea Bastianini as well, and Tatsuki Suzuki and Nicolo Bulega. Hector Garzo, though, he's back. Welcome back to the jungle, Hector. He's second on the grid for tomorrow's race. Take it away, Fran.
He is. Welcome back, Hector. Returning in some style, straight onto the front row. Talk us through the conditions out there and how you're feeling for the races now. You ready for to attack for the victory?
Yeah, sure. Happy, really happy. First qualification in MotoE after 2 years. We did a really good job on the test, so finally we just had to repeat the job. And for sure I'm happy, and I think we have a good bike for the race. I expect good feelings.
Well, congratulations and welcome back.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much, Hector Garzo then. Looking forward to see him battling it out once again in MotoE. The number 4 on the Tech 3 machine, his old team as well. A great start, returning back to MotoE after a couple of years in Moto2 as well. How much would he love to stand on top of the podium at what is essentially a home race for him? Well then, up next we'll be hearing from your pole position rider, Mikel Pons. From the gravel to pole position and Parc Ferme. Take it away, Fran.
It was indeed. That was a session of 2 halves for you, wasn't it, Mikel? That crash, but in the end, pole position for this first round of the season. Congratulations. How are you feeling for the races?
Yeah, we did a change of the setting from this morning, and the first lap I feel really comfortable, and in the end the pole position was good, and I think we are ready for tomorrow. We will see the bike how it is, but all okay. 1 lap and just pole was so nice, but crash I'm well, and that's all.
Thank you very much. Congrats.
Yeah, thanks for that, Fran. Thanks as well to the pole sitter today, Mikel Pons. His English has really come on, man, hasn't it, since last year?
Well, I hope so, if he's intending on being in Parc Ferme more often as well. So good on him. Well then, that's it. Mikel Pons, pole position. Guys, it's race day tomorrow for MotoE. We'll see you then.
you